So as many of you know, I recently lost my father this last week. And about 10 months ago, I actually lost my mother. And both of them lived a very long, full life and left quite a legacy. But it's really caused me and us to really reflect a little bit on what it means to leave a legacy. And so today we just want to share that with you. Hopefully it's some wisdom that you can use in your own legacy that you're leaving. So Carol, you just want to share a little bit about, wisdom and what that's
Yeah.
like for us?
Yeah, so we have found ourselves, I would say in the last 2 to 3 months, every morning waking up with our coffee in hand and reading a proverb a day. And so we did that this morning. We read a proverb together, and then what we do is we pray through that as God leads us, and we really lean into the parts that we are needing to apply in our family, for Steve's business, in our community, and we just lean into those. And there is just there's so much fruit that's coming that I'm really starting to see. I'm starting to see a boldness in you to speak out wisdom and to speak out truth, and just what that means for our family, like I said, for his business and for our community.
So today we just want to share with you three points. First is what is a legacy, and why is it important? Second, what has a legacy look like in our recent experience with death? And then third is really just a challenge to take action. And so those are the three things we want to cover today.
Okay, so what is a legacy? We've pondered this back and forth and had conversation, like as we have prayed, and conversation with God and each other, and it seems like we've come to physical legacy, right? So physical legacy looks like family, it looks like children, it looks like land, property, homes, it looks like precious things that you would pass on. So a physical gift or a treasure. Spiritually, there are things that are part of a legacy. So, as believers, we consider salvation to be the number one and the first most important part of family legacy spiritually. And then there's the inheritance of that. Okay, so there's the growing part of us. When God grows inside of us, there's the fruit that comes out from that, right? So we're talking about peace in our family and in our lives, and we bear that fruit of peace. Faithfulness, integrity, we talked about that being a major fruit that we really have seen in our family. So those are just, physical, spiritual things that look and form a legacy.
So we just want to talk a little bit about sort of a practical look at what a legacy looks like right now for us. As during this time of loss of my father, it's really allowed me to sort of take a deeper look at really what a legacy means. I've always knew it was important, but as you actually walk it out and you experience it through your parents' line, you start to really look at it at a deeper level, and that's really what we've been able to do. And so we want to share just practically what that's looked like.
Okay, so it's me. Okay, so what did this look like for you, Steve? What did your father and your mother leaving a legacy for you, what did that look like?
It looked like a lot of different things. Certainly one of the things they had in place was a living trust. And so that inheritance that they're passing on to their kids through that living trust was fully planned out. They got a lot of godly wisdom from wise counsel to how to set that up, what it would look like, basically, so everything was spelled out. It looked like the fruits that you talked about earlier that they passed on to me and my siblings. It was a lot of things. It was integrity, it was work ethic, it was faithfulness, it was grace, it was kindness, a lot of those sort of things that I'm still seeing living on in their kids, which is me, as well as our grandkids. It was also, they also had all the funeral arrangements determined. They had everything prepaid for. They had the obituaries written. They had everything thought out, which was really a part of that legacy.
Yeah, so we talked about this, but I want you to share it. Probably they sat in their chairs in their living room and they had hard conversations with each other, what does this look like going forward? They took the time, and what do you think that looked like?
Yeah, I think, they were willing to, like you said, make those sort of tough decisions.
Like embrace
that, the fact that none of us are going to leave this planet alive. And so we can either let the future control what that looks like, or we can map that out and take control of what that looks like for our children and our children's children. And so, what it meant for me is that during this time of loss, I was able to first grieve the loss of my parents, but then really, even maybe more importantly, was actually I really got to reflect on what they meant to me and what the legacy that they left and are leaving and will continue to leave through their children and their children's children. And so what it really meant was myself and my siblings didn't really have to spend hardly any time thinking about the funeral arrangements. It was all spelled out. Literally, about all we had to do was figure out what the day we wanted to have the service. And so it gave us time, me time, to actually think about the things that were important, which was reflecting on their lives and what the legacy they left, and not be taking care of all these other plans and details and decisions. And it also meant unity in my family, because we didn't have to worry or wrestle with any of those decisions. They were already spelled out, laid out.
So one thing that's just kind of common to me right now, and I just want to share it, there was so much grace and kindness, with your mom in what I could see, of her living her life. And then there was so much determination and just get it done on your dad's part. And so I just think sometimes it really is those simple things that are determined that we carry forward and then give to the family. So, yeah. So did we cover what that looks like going forward, do you feel like, for you, or do you have anything?
Just would add, I guess, for me, it makes me be more determined in making sure that I have my house in order, so to speak, that the legacy I leave will be thought through. We've put together a living trust.
We have.
More recently, we took a will and turned it into a living trust, and there are a lot of benefits to that. So you don't have to deal with probate, and that's another conversation. But it really has caused me to look at a deeper level. What am I leaving, and have I got everything in place, and what else can I continue to get in place as our lives move forward?
I'll just say too that my heart posture has changed, because I used to be fearful, hon. I used to be very fearful to sit down and talk about insurance and just what that would look like going forward if one of us, or especially you, would be passing. So that's helped me a lot. I've grown a lot in my security.
And it's one of those difficult decisions. What I see is a lot of people fear death, and therefore they don't want to deal with those tough decisions about thinking what happens when I'm no longer here. What's that look like? And so they put those off a lot of times. And so I think God calls us to fear Him, which means a healthy respect, not fear death, but fear Him. And that means taking care of those difficult decisions, getting our house in order, and looking to the future with an eternal perspective, not a short-term perspective, because this life is but a vapor, is what the Scripture says. So God asks us to look at this from an eternal perspective, which is starting to think, what does the end look like?
And right now, He's given us the time. He has given us the time to think about such things. That's just simply put.
So we just want to challenge you. If this is resonating with you, we want to challenge you, if you haven't already, to take action, to sit down, to spend some time thinking about what legacy you want to leave. Do you have your house in order? What are some of those difficult decisions that maybe you've put off because you don't like to think about death, or what's ultimately going to happen to all of us? Because avoidance is not scriptural. It's not scriptural, and
it's not beneficial either.
One of the things, one of my favorite Proverbs is 24:34, and it says, if you put off until tomorrow the work that you could do today, tomorrow never seems to come. And that's so true. We like to think we have years and years and years left, but we don't know what tomorrow holds. And so my advice, my wisdom for you is, if you haven't taken care of these things, is to do that now, because tomorrow, we don't know what tomorrow looks like. We don't know if tomorrow will come. And I will tell you this from my own personal experience, is one of the greatest gifts that you can give your children is to basically leave a legacy, have your house in order, have a will or family trust, so that your children can actually reflect on your life and what it meant to them, and a legacy that you leave, and not think about all the details. And it brings unity to your family too as well. So I just want to bless you with an impartation of wisdom and an impartation of courage, that the Lord would give you the courage you need if this has been a struggle for you to take care of these details and not want to think about that. I just impart courage and wisdom to take care of these things so that you can live out the full legacy, and your kids can actually use that as a platform, because I believe that our kids' legacy will be even greater than ours, and that the legacy that my parents left me will be greater than theirs, and it's a thing that we can pass on and actually elevate and be a springboard to the future. So I just bless you with that.